Today we're in the Suzuki Vitara, not to be confused with the Grand Vitara, which is much bigger and much more luxurious. Suzuki starts at $22,990 going up to $29,990 for the top two-wheel drive model. This, however, is the four-wheel drive model. We've got a choice of 3 engines and 2 transmissions. You can get a 6-speed manual or 6-speed automatic, and you can get 2 or all-wheel drive, and it depends on what trim level you choose as to what engines and transmissions are available to you. This is the 103 kilowatt, 220 newton meter, 1.4 turbo engine. 1.4 driving this. It's a lot better if you think of this really as a city hatch on steroids. It's got a 185 millimeter ground clearance, so you can do a little bit of light off-roading if you like. You're probably not going to tow very much in it, but you wouldn't do anyway. You're hardly likely to go and tow a caravan or anything too big. This one's been customised with the larger wheels. I think these black wheels look absolutely smashing. There's a lot of trim extras on it. There's quite a nice garnish here, and you can actually change little bits of the colour to suit you. This one's in a pretty smart looking red. The rear hatch opens up pretty wide, and inside you'll notice that there's a spot for underfloor storage if you want. Cleverly, it actually stays up when you put it up so that you can store your little bits and bobs underneath. Apart from that, there's plenty of rear storage, and the back seats fold flat. You do it from just on the top of the back seats inside. So you can do that in about 2 seconds flat. They fold down quickly, and you don't have to bother taking the headrests out, depending on whether or not the front seats are all the way back. With the seat set for me driving, there is room in the back, but it is snug. My knees are up against the driver's seat, and my feet do go right under the driver's seat. There's room for 2. You could fit 3 in at a pinch. The front seat, adjusted for how I drive, gives me plenty of room. I could probably move it forward a little bit to give the rear passengers some space, but I wouldn't want to drive like that for too long. However, everything is in easy reach. I can easily reach the seat belt, which is important, and every single instrument can be reached without me leaning forward. I like this a lot. So I'm going to use CarPlay for the first time in this car, so you're seeing it the same time I am. Alrighty. Alright, so I'm going to open that little port and plug my USB in. Right, now I take my phone like so. This might be a bit tricky with one hand, but we'll see how I go. Okay, unlocked. So I've got to unlock the phone to do CarPlay. Okay, doesn't seem to be doing anything. Maybe I have to go into that. Okay, it's brought up my maps. So here we go. So now you can see that I had once mapped a trip from Redfern to Rockdale, but you can go in, fairly easy to access, and we've got phone details there.
With whom would you like to speak?
So that's going to use voice details. It's asked for Siri, and there's my maps, and there's my music. This is really easy to use. While we're on the subject of this, the volume controller's here, and it's as easy as sliding your finger up and down. And of course, there's digital radio. That's what's now playing BBC World Service, as if I needed it. Do I love it? No, I don't. That's a little bit boring. Let's go back to the radio. I think this is awesome. Awesome. What an easy to use system. And then if you want to go back home, it's as easy as pressing the home button. This car also has built-in speech recognition, which you can use from here, or on the buttons on the steering wheel. Very easy to use. The bezels are customizable, and as it is around you, it's a little bit difficult to see, but the rings around the speedo are also customizable. Suzuki says this is a luxury interior, but yeah, I'm not quite so sure. I'm not sure whether it's a luxury interior or not. I do like the stitching on the seats. I think the seats look pretty smashing. And a nice solid feel to the gear lever. Plenty of cubby holes. A not insignificant glove box. You'd certainly fit more than just your gloves in that. There's a couple of things that give me the irrits. One, when you put the car into park, that's easy enough, it goes all the way forward. But when you put the car into drive, you could easily go past that and go into manual, and then you're wondering why the damn thing's screaming its head off. The one thing about the Vitara is that it's meant to be easy to use. The steering is super light. It's really, really light. And normally I would have said I don't like that, but you know, I'm getting used to it. The handling is surprisingly good. For a not very expensive SUV with four-wheel drive mind you, I think it's actually pretty good. It livens up no end when you put it into sport mode, which just gives it that much extra pep. And out of a 1.3 litre engine, you need as much pep as you can, 1.4 litre engine, sorry, you need as much pep as you can get. Once you're moving, you just put it back into normal mode, changes up to 6th gear. We're doing 70 at the moment, and it all feels pretty composed and as you would expect. The good thing about this is it's got auto lights, auto wipers, push button entry, push button start, Apple CarPlay. It's the things that millennials demand. And priced between $22,990 and $29,990 for the two-wheel drive versions. This is the all-wheel drive version, so as I said, it's a little bit more expensive. I'll put the prices for that up in a minute. This is a pretty good package. I'll also put the approach and departure angles and ramp over angles for those that are interested in doing any light off-roading. There's, as I mentioned, 185 millimeters of ground clearance. So not enough for, you know, you wouldn't go to Central Australia in it. I think if you were going to choose that, you'd choose something that's got slightly more beef. But as we all know, most SUVs never go off the road. Even for an off-roading, a serious off-roading couple or family, they would probably choose something bigger. You could tow a small trailer, a small camper van. It certainly would do all of the work that a normal family are going to want from it. And with the preponderance of SUVs in Australia, remember, SUVs now outsell passenger vehicles. And if you add light commercial vehicles or LCVs, it's even more. So we've fallen in love with SUVs and we've stayed in love with them. And you know, maybe that's the way it's meant to be. I haven't driven the other engines in the range, but I'm not a diesel fan. I think diesels by and large are on their way out. It's just my opinion. Maybe not in SUVs, maybe not in SUVs where someone's going to want to do some towing, because the more torque you have, the better tow you get. No, this is really meant for picnicking, weekending, going to the beach, and it's aimed, because of its size, at maybe a young couple, or certainly a downsizing couple, anyone that doesn't need a whole bunch of space. It isn't that it's not roomy, it is roomy. and I've got this seat set quite high. But, as in all things, it's horses for courses. So you might have several cars. People often do. But there'd be nothing wrong with this as being your only car, and you could hire something for more serious purposes. If you want to do a sexy little romantic weekend away, you can hire a sports car. If you want to do a serious off-roading road trip, maybe you could hire a big SUV. But for around town, at 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres, this 103 1.4 turbo petrol is my pick of the engines. Now, back to the airport. There we have it, the 2018 Suzuki Vitara. There's plenty of space, enough go to get you out of trouble if you want. There's four-wheel drive that will get you off the road, enough torque to do a little bit of light towing, and it's a fairly handsome thing. Don't forget you can customize it if you want to do a few little things yourself. I think it's a good thing. Don't forget, subscribe.